to the Daily Grind, and shout out to the full-time patrons. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full time.
MMA.
What is going on, full-time family? It is time for your daily dose of MMA. We've got some news and some recently announced fights that I cannot wait to talk about. But first things first, let's get this out of the way. Conor McGregor's charges have been dropped over his cell phone smashing incident. It looks like there has been a payoff. They've reached an out-of-court agreement. Conor McGregor has resolved his legal matters in Miami. This, of course, is stemming from the incident where Conor McGregor allegedly slapped the phone out of a man's hand, stomped on it, and stole it. The alleged victim, Ahmed Abdirzak, though, is no longer cooperating with authorities, and he's recanted his story. It looks like McGregor and Abdirzak previously reached an out-of-court settlement in their civil lawsuit. McGregor was originally charged with strong armed robbery and criminal mischief following the arrest in Miami Beach on the evening of March 11th, but those charges were dropped during a hearing on Monday in which neither McGregor nor Abdirzak were present. The victim of the crime did not wish to return to the United States and prosecute the case. Due to that, of course, little payoff, but it is what it is, man. That's what happens in these situations a lot of the times, and it's really good for Conor McGregor that this was able to be settled out of court, because the more and more actual cases you have that you don't settle, it starts to pile up. So you want to get these settled as quick as possible, because this isn't the only thing Conor McGregor has been in the headlines for. So you want to get as many of those things cleared up as possible. You don't just want all of that lingering over your head, because that could affect your other proceedings. If you're going to court for something else, it's easier for them to say, hey, look, he's also going to trial for this here, and he's also doing this here. So if you can get these things settled, that helps out a lot. Now, with that being said, hopefully all goes well for McGregor as far as the fight game is concerned. The whiskey business seems to be doing fine. He's doing fine financially, of course. But with that being said, we're all, of course, waiting for him to get back to the fight game. He most recently lost to Khabib Nurmagomedov in an embarrassing performance. Got dropped, smashed, tapped. It was bad. Now he's looking to rebound. There was talks of him fighting Cowboy. There's been talks of him fighting a few people. The Cowboy fight fell through, as Cowboy is now booked to fight Tony Ferguson, which we're going to talk about. Nate Diaz was even recently just booked to fight Anthony Pettis. So that leaves Conor McGregor on the outside, without an opponent. All of the top guys being booked. Of course, Dustin Poirier going to be fighting Khabib Nurmagomedov. So that's 6 of the top lightweights that are booked, and kind of leaving Conor McGregor without an opponent there. So we'll see what happens as far as Conor McGregor's fighting is concerned. But as far as his recent cell phone smashing incident, the charges have been dropped. Moving on, Anthony Pettis says he can't wait to hurt Nate Diaz. It's personal. The reason I'm on this site, and it's not one of the normal MMA websites, this is on hotnewhiphop.com, and I clicked on that article for a reason. This is what Nate Diaz brings to the table. Whenever, anybody, if you get booked to fight in the UFC, it's usually not national headlines, or it's not, as big of a deal. You're not going to see articles on fucking hip-hop sites that Anthony Pettis got booked to fight even Dustin Poirier, right? The interim champion. But Nate Diaz, that's the appeal of Nate Diaz. That's why everyone wants to fight him. That's why he's a money fight now. Beating Conor McGregor made him a household name. So now anytime he books a fight, everybody cares. How long has Nate Diaz been out? Seriously. 2-3 years since he fought last? He announces a fight, which we've had Nate Diaz fights announced. They fell through. I'm surprised even the casual fans aren't, weary of this fight. It's hard for me to get it's hard for me to get my hopes up about a Nate Diaz fight personally, because over the last 3 years he's toyed with us for so long. He's teased coming back into boxing and to fight this guy and that guy, and he's made these stipulations and he demanded this, and all of his demands were met and all of the stipulations were met, and he's had every type of opponent call him out. He's had every type of call out, respectful call outs, angry call outs, disrespectful call outs. I mean, the people have literally tried to do everything in their power to get Nate Diaz to fight them, and he has not, been doing it. Now, of course, eventually money's going to run out. The money he made from McGregor was life-changing, but you got to think he's a guy that does support his family, and, not even just his immediate family. A lot of people Nate Diaz supports coming from his background. So you got to imagine the well's going to dry up and he's going to have to fight again. So if that's the reason, it sucks. But hey, at least we get to see Nate Diaz back in the octagon. It's a fight that a lot of people have been waiting to see, and Anthony Pettis has put himself in a great position to earn this fight, moving up to 170 pounds, knocking out Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, and these guys have a history. This is personal. There's a real beef between Nate Diaz and Anthony Pettis, and from way back in the day, and it's a scrap pack beef, that they've had so many of, where Nate Diaz and his crew gets into it with somebody else in their crew, and these guys have had a beef for a while. So this is personal. Anthony Pettis says he wants to knock this guy out. He wants to hurt him, and so that adds an extra layer to this fight. It's going to be a tough fight for Nate Diaz, coming off such a long layoff, going against a guy that was able to just knock out Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. But hey, man, don't count Nate Diaz out. That's one thing that's for sure. I mean, it doesn't seem like a great matchup for Diaz, but it seems like a great matchup for the fans. Anthony Pettis has been active. He's a great striker. He's great jiu-jitsu. I mean, he does everything that Nate Diaz does. He's been active and he's dangerous, former champion. So we're in line for a great fight if it does happen. That being said, we got a couple other things to talk about. Tony Ferguson versus Donald Cerrone. Tony Ferguson opens up as the betting favorite. And I got to say about that, about Tony Ferguson being the favorite, I understand it, but I'm worried. I don't know, man. Tony Ferguson's my guy, El Kakui. I root for him personally and as a fighter. But I'm worried about his mental health and what the hell is going on with him right now. I mean, he literally just went from not being cleared to fight and Dana White saying he wasn't ready to fight, and, the whole mental health issues that he went through recently, to being booked to fight in a month. So less than a month ago, I mean, and I know Tony Ferguson, I'm sure, is always staying ready. He doesn't seem like a guy that, isn't ready. If you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. And I'm sure El Kakui's training around the clock, kicking poles, doing everything, fucking walking up walls, just whatever you can do, man. He's always training. So I'm not worried about Tony Ferguson in that sense. But as far as a fight camp, I don't know if he's been in a fight camp. Now, I don't know how much of a fight camp Tony Ferguson needs, to be honest, but I'm just saying, literally last month, he was having these mental issues and going through his personal struggles. Now he's booked to fight at UFC 238. That's the next pay-per-view. That's like 2 weeks. That's like 3 weeks. So that's a little weird for me. Donald Cerrone, on the other hand, has been looking amazing. Like, just fucking rolling over dudes, man. It's like Donald Cerrone, snapped back to his prime. It's crazy. I mean, he's in a new weight class, just tearing guys up. I mean, he just defeated Ali Quintin, who went 5 rounds with Khabib on short notice. Who just beat Kevin Lee extremely impressively before that. Before that, he beat Alexander Hernandez, Mike Perry. Cowboy Cerrone is on top of his game right now. So this is no easy fight for El Kakui at all. Not even close. And he's opening up as the betting favorite, but I don't know how much that'd be. This is a toss-up for me right here. But this fight right here, Nick, this might be fight of the year. This is one of those ones on paper, just bloody glory. I could see both of these dudes leaving this fight covered in blood with smiles on their face, high-fiving, hugging, nothing but respect, and one of the best fights we'll ever see. That's the type of matchup this is. Unless someone gets finished early, we are in for a treat. So I cannot wait to see Ferguson versus Cerrone. That's one I will get my get hyped up for, get my hopes up for. So one or two more things to talk about. I wanted to touch on another fight announced. Max Holloway versus Frankie Edgar targeted for UFC 240. This is a fight I've been waiting to see for a while now. It sucks UFC isn't ever going to go to Hawaii. Bellator beat them there somehow. You know what I'm saying? Like, UFC clearly makes more money than Bellator, so you're either just greedy or you're fucking greedy. I don't know. Like, how can Bellator get there before you guys? It can't be a money thing. You guys make more. I think it's an ego thing. You don't want to pay a certain percentage of some sort of tax or something, but come on, a one-time fucking deal for your featherweight champion and kingpin Max Holloway. We can't go to the Waianae Islands, none of that shit one time. Bellator's about to be there twice. And this would be the perfect fight for it. Frankie Edgar defeated BJ Penn, has the history of defeating BJ Penn 3 times. Wasn't able to get that W. Max Holloway, the new Hawaiian prodigy. Can he get one back for Hawaii? I mean, the fight sells. It was a great storyline, great matchup. It's a fresh matchup for Max Holloway. We never got to see him fight Frankie Edgar. Can't wait to see how he does against Frankie. I mean, this is an amazing fight. A lot on the line here, but yeah, man, what's up with UFC Hawaii? Either way, UFC 240 is when this fight is targeted for. Max Holloway versus Frankie Edgar. Of course, you've got other guys in the division like Alexander Volkanovski, who just had a big win over Jose Aldo. I know, he's, I've seen some people argue that maybe he should have got this title shot off of that impressive win, and I hear that, but I mean, if he's ready, because this is a pretty quick turnaround as far as UFC 240. I'm sure Volkanovski, though, would have been ready by UFC 240. He didn't take much damage in his Aldo fight, so I'm sure he would have been ready, but this is a fight Frankie Edgar has, he risked. He already had this fight. He already had a title fight, and he put it on the line whenever he fought Brian Ortega, and Max Holloway pulled out. That was a completely different style change for Frankie Edgar when he went to fight Brian Ortega on short notice. He could have said, nah, I'll wait for my title shot, like a lot of people would have. Frankie Edgar said, nope, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to risk it. And he lost. But, the UFC, you will get, ultimately, you get another win. They'll remember that. They'll look out for you, man. You helped the fans and the UFC out when you stayed on the card and fought Brian Ortega, and you gave us all a moment that a lot of us will never forget. So how can you not respect Frankie Edgar in the title shot? So looking forward to that fight. And then one other thing, Ronda Rousey recently sat down, I think, with Megan O'Leary. She said her UFC debut against Liz Carmouche felt bigger than WrestleMania. Yeah, it was real. That's the first thing I thought when I saw this headline. Oh, your real fight felt bigger than your fake fight? Probably because you didn't know the result going into it. Holy shit, what's about to happen? The other one, you're like, man, I've already been in front of a crowd. I'm about to powerbomb her, and then she's going to kick out, and then I'm going to fucking powerbomb her again, and then put her in an armbar, and she's going to kick out, and then she's going to armbar me, and it's going to surprise everybody. I don't even know if that's what happened, but either way, if you are interested in hearing Ronda Rousey talk with Megan O'Leary, you can find that on the UFC's YouTube channel. I just thought that headline was pretty funny. She thought her first real fight was bigger than her fake fight. There is one other thing, UFC Rochester's this weekend. Of course, it's going to be Kevin Lee versus RDA, and the co-main event was Neil Magny versus Vicente Luque. Now Neil Magny is out due to injury, and it looks like we're waiting on a new opponent for Vicente Luque. But here's the card: RDA versus Kevin Lee, Antonio Carlos Jr. versus Ian Heinisch, Megan Anderson versus Felicia Spencer, Charles Oliveira versus Nick Lynch. Didn't Dubronx just fight? He's fighting again. That's pretty quick. Davi Ramos versus Austin Hubbard, Aspen Ladd versus Sarge Eubanks, Desmond Green versus Charles Jordan, Danny Roberts, Michael Pereira, Michael Trezano versus Greg Dawson, Pat Cummins versus Ed Herman, Pat Cummins and Zach Cummings versus Trevin Giles, Julio Arce versus Julian Arosa. That is the fight card this weekend, guys. It looks like we lost Neil Magny, so Be interesting to see if the UFC can find a short notice opponent for Vicente Luque, who is a killer, man. But yeah, that is what I've got for you guys for this episode. Wasn't able to do a live show. Don't really have enough time. Like I said, I had that interview this morning. Fucking went amazing. Had like 9 fucking square ass people in front of me interviewing me. Like 9 years ago, I would have froze up in that position. I went in there and just fucking aced it like Joe Cool. Pretty much let them know that I could pretty much be their boss one day. I didn't let them know that, but that's how I carried myself, you know, extremely composed, like this job is mine. Now the hard part, gotta pass the drug test, guys. So with that being said, man, hope you guys all enjoy the rest of your day. We got some good fights coming up this weekend. Of course, the Fight Companion's gonna be lit. Make sure you join the Full-Time MMA Discord if you want to talk about MMA throughout the day, even for days where we might slip up and not have a video or whatever happens. We will always be live in the Discord, so make sure you join that. Link is in the description. Follow us on sportsbooth.tv. Subscribe to UFC Yankovic, Full-Time MMA, man. You guys know the drill. It is what it is. Let the Full-Time family know what you think in the comments. I'm out.
Bye, Felicia.